Have you ever wondered what sets a great social media strategy apart from a good social media strategy? There are actually 3 secrets that will take your social media strategy to the next level that I haven't seen any social media strategist talk about. But today I am revealing all 3 with you. Hey, my name is Milou and I own a multi-6-figure social media agency, and I now help social media managers do the same. If you're an aspiring 6-figure social media manager watching right now, then make sure you grab my free roadmap to becoming a 6-figure social media manager in the description below. Now let's get to it. The first secret to social media management strategy is that you can spy on your competitors. Now you may be thinking, sure, I can look up competitors of my clients myself. Yeah, I can look at what they're doing, but I'm not even talking about that kind of spying. I mean, you can spy on their actual content strategy, what's working for them and what isn't working for them, all inside of one tool. So I found that using SEMrush, their social media tracker, has allowed me to look into my competitors, my client competitors, whenever I need inspiration or I'm creating a strategy for a client. So this will allow you to see their highest performing posts. It will allow you to see their content strategy, right? Are they creating reels? Are they creating carousels? What is working for them and what isn't working for them, so that you can build the strategy based on other people's concepts and their mistakes already, right? Now, I'm not saying go spy on your competitor to copy what they're doing, right? Because you don't exactly know what their strategy is, but it gives you all the insights that you need to create a social media strategy for a client from scratch. Because again, you don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? There are already people within their industry doing the same thing, having the same target audience, so that you can learn from what they're doing and kind of piggyback, if you will, off of that. So if you go inside of SEMrush, inside the social tracker, you can hook up the clients or your own account and all of their competitors. And it will actually show you too where you or your client ranks compared to their competitors, which is very important to know as well, right? Because you can get a bigger picture. Maybe your client is doing not so great for their insights, but they're still ranking in the top of their industry. So those things are very important to keep in mind and take inspiration from there, so that you can learn from other people's concepts, right? Proven concepts. Now, if you want a full walkthrough on how I actually create a strategy, then make sure you watch this video after this video on an actual strategy walkthrough. The second secret to social media management strategy is that it's not set in stone. Now, I feel like the word strategy scares a lot of people because they're like, you know, I create this one thing. It needs to be the formula to success, guaranteed success, right? For your client or for yourself. And then it's like, okay, what's next, right? Is it even working? What's gonna work? And that's the cool thing about strategy, because it's ever evolving. Now, there's a big part of social media strategy that doesn't really evolve as much, such as the target audience, right? The offers a client has, their content pillars, they don't necessarily need to change every 3-6 months, right? Unless your client is pivoting and you need to, change things up. But otherwise, those things stay the same, while the execution of the strategy will vary, right? So based on that strategy, based on who you're targeting, who you're going after, based on the goals, right? You're now executing and saying, okay, we are gonna do X based on Y. So to give a real example, let's say a client wants to increase brand awareness, and that is a goal in the strategy. Then on the execution side, you're gonna say, okay, if we want to increase brand awareness, then the content strategy needs to include a lot of reels, because they get pushed more in Instagram, they get more reach, right? And so you're aligning the execution and content strategy with the actual bigger picture, the actual strategy you create. But let's say you're executing this and you notice, hey, you know what? The carousels are actually giving us more reach than the reels are. It doesn't mean you cannot change this now, right? This is something you want to note in the monthly reporting and insights of the strategy and say, hey, this didn't work. So we're going to switch that up and do less reels, more carousels. So it's ever evolving. The platforms are slightly changing. changing, right? Your audience or customers' behavior might change, the way they consume content. And so it's not set in stone and it's always evolving. So also don't be afraid to try and test things, right? Because you don't need to come up with one success formula that you need to implement for the rest of the year, right? Be flexible about it and have fun with it. The third secret of social media management strategy is that all roads lead to Rome. Now, this is probably the most frustrating and fun thing about social media, creating a social media management strategy, right? If one thing works for one account, it doesn't mean it works for another account, right? So as someone like myself, in our agency, we full-time run with the team over 10 accounts on multiple channels, right? And so it's easy for me to see how every account functions completely different, right? So just because we're having major success using Reels on one account doesn't mean it's gonna work for another account, because every account functions completely differently. So what I've noticed with actual clients is that we have some clients that thrive off Reels. They do really, really well based on video, and their audience loves to consume video like that from them. And we are having a harder time with carousels and static content, whereas other accounts don't get a lot of reach and push from Reels. So it really depends on your audience, their algorithm, right, which is different for every account too. Like we said in the last step, right, you need to keep evolving, implementing new things, try and experiment. But just because something works for one account, don't assume it's going to work for the other account, or don't get frustrated when it doesn't work for another account, right? Keep in mind that it's not necessarily your fault, right? But you need to try new things so that you can find out what does work for that account. And so from personal experience too, I've had clients where I'm like, oh my God, like Reels need to work for them. I need to make this work. And sometimes you're just forcing it at that point, and you also need to acknowledge maybe this is not for them. Maybe that's not the content strategy for them. Or maybe this client or business shouldn't be on TikTok. Maybe they should be on Instagram, even though everyone is on TikTok, right? So sometimes we're trying to force something to work, but you need to listen to the data. The data will tell you what works, what doesn't work, and what your audience wants to see. So stay open-minded and stay flexible so that you can adjust the strategy wherever needed. Now that wraps up my 3 juiciest secrets on taking your social media management strategy to another level. I hope this helped you or gave you some fresh perspective on how to do strategy so that you can make sure it's a big success. Make sure you subscribe if you found this helpful. Have any questions, drop them in a comment below, and I will see you in next week's video.